insecurity. Miyetti Allah joins Enugu task force. Eha Amufu community, Isuizo local government area of Enugu state, and Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association of Nigeria have set up a joint task force to provide security in the area. Mr. Tony Ede, the chairman, Eha Amufu and Fulani Communities Peace and Reconciliation Committee, disclosed this on Saturday in Enugu after a meeting between the groups. Ede said that the groups agreed to set aside their differences and continue to live together in peace. Eha Amufu had in recent times witnessed a series of kidnappings and attacks on residents of the community, which led to a mutual suspicion between the members of the host community and the pastoralists in the area. However, a committee with members from both sides was inaugurated and mandated to reconcile with the two groups and work out a sustainable solution to the spate of insecurity in the area. The committee chairman said that the groups had been able to find a lasting solution to the problems. He said that the committee also agreed on a number of things on how to forestall such incidences that led to the mistrust between the pastoralists and their host community. Keyword, host community. In his words, he says, we have agreed on a number of things on how to move forward and make sure that conflict is resolved. It is better to follow peace, and we have all agreed that we will continue with peace. In no distant time, we will start the implementation of those necessary steps in order to continue to live together peacefully, Ede said. Okay, so, first of all, this is screaming red flags. If anything, a lot of people will be worried and say, okay, I get we want to live peacefully, but integrating it to a security force, a force that is meant to protect the community, I don't think it will sit well with a lot of people, considering the fact that, okay, fine, we can't be stereotypical, but we have to go with the facts of what has happened in recent times. There has been mistrust. So if there's a reconciliation thing where, okay, fine, the communities, the security forces, they decide that, we're going to follow due process. We're not going to be, tribalistic, if that's the worries of the, of Macban. So yes, that is totally fine. But I think, it doesn't really sit well, I guess, even with the community. Well, I'm guessing it wouldn't sit well with them, because it's not like, well, this is, if anything, you can try to resolve your issues, fine, reconcile, all that, fantastic, great. That's what we want to see, right? But it not gets fishy when you want to integrate them to a force that is meant to protect the community from those that, do happen to come from the north, who happen to be cattle rearers, and not to be judgmental, stereotypical, but that is just what the facts of the situation have been. You don't judge people, but I don't think this is giving progressive, and really, do they have the right, or I guess the obviously Macban is obviously a very much known group, but the new task force that they're joining, where does the police stand? Where do they stand on this? Do they take over from the police? Who is actually meant to protect the community? Because there's so many, groups, vigilante groups. You also have the police itself. You have so many, right? And you're thinking, okay, so, who's actually protecting who? Is there going to be a clash? Because really, if they were integrated into the police force, but then obviously we don't even trust that anyway. But there has to be one body, because it would just cause confusion. And if there are several groups that are dedicated towards protecting the community, it also increases, the likelihood of attacks, because they disguise as this, criminals can disguise and say, we are from this group. And if there's no uniform, it's a different thing when there's disguise, or criminals disguised as the police or the army. That's a whole different situation. But then you make the probability of danger higher if, you have just joint vigilante groups, security forces being formed out of nowhere. And not that it is bad, but really, it's not really screaming safety in my opinion. Others may feel safe about it, but really, I feel like it increases the likelihood and also danger to society. Really, I'm not against reconciliation of any kind. I do not think that it is wrong for them to be like, you know what, let there be peace in the area. But we have to understand that, as I said whilst I was reading, the herders are in their host communities. These communities are hosting them. So it's safe to say, first of all, if you're being hosted, it means you have no ownership. So these individuals, these caterers, do not own land. Because if they did own land, no one can go chat to them and tell them, oh, by the way, you can't be, they've bought the land. But in this case, they haven't. And so, really, who has the authority here? And maybe you want to get these ones on your side, but then it's also like associating yourself with, or, you know what? No matter how you try to put it, you're going to sound very much against the Northerners, and that is just not how it is. That is why you should have one body, one force. It's easier to recognize, one body to hold accountable, one body to ask questions. I mean, it is easy and simple like that. But it doesn't seem like that is the plan of these individuals. But again, now this is in Enugu. It's also giving very, because again, even if you look at Imo State as well, Igboland, which is, I would say, unofficially part of the security forces, is going to be, disintegrated, and Hope Uzodinma is planning to bring up or establish another security force, and it's just like, but why though? Because there's been failures. So many failures, with the fact that, of course, Igboland have been, accused of committing atrocious crimes, especially with the, with the attack on young boys in a bus coming from a wedding. So it's like, you're not fixing the problem, you're creating more problems. So if you just invest in training, invest in, procuring arms, literally, we would have that. Okay, fine, the police they're your friend, but they're also to be feared, because we know when it's time to deliver, they actually do. So instead of creating more problems, let's fix what we already have. Let's maintain the police force that we already have, instead of making a new one. If you want to do police reforms, that's fine, but to create a separate security body is really and will always be a waste of time. Put what you think about this in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and subscribe.